We are live right now with Mr. Mike Schmidt. And
Hello, hello.
let me pull you up, Mike, see if I got you here. I got to do a couple things. And there you are. What's up, buddy?
Not much. I'm hanging out today. I work later, but
Yep,
trying to stay focused.
totally, man. So you posted something yesterday or last night on Facebook about stop faking it, stop fake or it's not really faking it as to talk about confidence and those sorts of things. I'm very curious to hear what not you're not really faking it means. What does it mean?
Okay, so I've seen this a couple of times. Jerry Seinfeld talked about it, and that's kind of what was going on in my mind yesterday. He talks about fake confidence isn't really fake confidence, or is actually just confidence. You are scared out of your mind, but you overcome that fear and you do that thing that you've been, you know, wanting to do or is too scared to do or whatever. The idea that it's fake is kind of baloney, because everybody who's attempting something, even if they've done it 100 times, still gets a little bit of butterflies in their stomach when they go out and do that thing that they're so, passionate about or really working on wanting to get out there and do.
Yeah, so it interests me the idea of fake confidence because I have felt at times when I perform on stage that your dogs are barking, by the way.
Yeah.
That's okay. Are they close?
Loki.
Can we see your dogs?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, he's
what's his name?
all right. Loki. He's not
Loki?
he's not my dog, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he wants to be on the show. So, yeah. So, anyway, like the idea of, if you're not really feeling it sometimes before you go on stage, then it's like sometimes you feel like you have to fake it. Um, and I have done that before, and I will say that it works.
It
Like
does.
it's what, and that's why it intrigued me. And like, because I kind of thought I was doing it wrong. I kind of thought, well, I think I'm supposed to have real confidence here, and this is kind of a facade. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think there's really a facade.
Yeah,
I think I you're doing it.
right,
If it were fake, you wouldn't do it.
right, totally.
So the idea it's not really fake because you're actually being confident in doing it. That's my thought, and that's kind of the way I understood, Jerry to kind of say that. It's like, if it wasn't real, you wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I
So
understand that. I think it
you're
doesn't.
still you're
Go ahead.
still afraid. You're still like either scared out of your mind or nervous as all get out, but you're doing it anyway. So that's kind of what confidence is, you know.
Yeah. So, do you
You
think there's an illusion that um, maybe the people that we admire or whatever are that just it's easy. They just get up there and okay, so they naturally have confidence. Like I don't have confidence, but this person, wow, they're so confident when they get up there. They naturally have confidence. Do you think that's an illusion?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Don't
how many
mince
times
words,
have you
buddy.
heard
Don't
about
mince.
a famous athlete that, throws up before they go out in the game?
Yeah.
They're completely scared out of their mind. I can't remember there's a hockey player that would literally throw up before every game.
Wow.
Like his whole career, he would get so nervous before the game, he'd throw up. But yet he went out and played great. And I believe he's a Hall of Famer at this point. I wish I could remember his name now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How many times have you said to yourself, boy, that guy's really full of himself? There's this level of confidence there that you don't believe is actually there. And guess what? That level of, oh, I'm not scared of anything probably isn't there.
Huh.
And then
Yes.
there's,
Go ahead.
I will say this, there are the guys that are like, I should be scared doing X, but I'm not. But then when you put them in a situation where, they can't talk to a girl because they're too nervous, so
Yeah. Are you
there are
talking
things
about
that
me? Are
were
you talking about me in high school? Is that what you're doing?
well, all of us in high school,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, you might be confident in one thing where it doesn't bother you at all, but I guarantee you everyone has that moment where they wish they were better at this thing that they think they don't do very well, and they're actually way better at it, and they somehow push through and get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about when you first started was, so a lot of times with rock stars, you find, or well, this is, we talk a lot about music. So
Right.
you talk about, you know, you run into a lot of people that are very extroverted on stage, but are high functioning introverts, basically.
Yeah.
They're like Angus Young comes to mind, right?
Right.
Yeah, not very good at
Very much
interviews.
so.
Yeah, that may be an extreme.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Maybe. Well, Eddie Van Halen was a high functioning, you know, introvert.
wow.
Guy was, super animated and just great on stage, but man, he did not like being around a lot of people. He didn't like, at least what I remember, hearing. Interviews were not really his thing. He did them, but he
Yeah,
didn't. I don't think he particularly enjoyed them.
yeah,
You know, there's
yeah,
a video of him at Jason Becker's house. Jason Becker's a guitar player who was going to take over Steve Vai's duties with David Lee Roth and got ALS and was unable to do that. And Eddie, somewhere in the mid to late 90s, went over to hang out with them after, showing him his guitar. And Eddie looked like he felt right at home there, but it was very much a, hey, we're all friends. We're just hanging out, talking, having a good time. And you kind of got to know him, but he wasn't a guy who did a lot of interviews or liked large crowds of people.
yeah. So we have a question here. I don't
Oh,
know if
we
you can
do.
read that. That kind of went to the edge of your screen. Yeah, you can see it. For big shows, I always get nervous. This comes from Brock Wagner. Brock is an artist, actually from Northwest Kansas, back in my old stomping grounds. He says, I always get nervous, but I think that comes from expectations you have for yourself.
Oh, definitely. That's yeah. The expectations we put on ourselves are way higher than the expectations of people that are watching us do that thing. You know,
Yeah.
and
So why is that? Why do we think when we're performing, why do we think that people um, have a higher expectation of us than we have of ourselves?
I I think it's the
Whoops.
misconception that they're there to be critical.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Um, and especially, as we continue to go on, especially with like Facebook and the media, Twitter, the way people are just hammering the crap out of each other or other people, we incorrectly assume that in a performance the people are there and going to be judging what we're doing, and maybe they do a little bit, but they're really there to enjoy what you're going to perform for them. They want you to succeed or they wouldn't show up.
Yeah. Do you think people are more hesitant to to go for their dreams these days because of, well, of this. They feel that there's a higher expectation on them than there really is, but also social media. You think social media comes into to play, like as far as like scaring people away from starting stuff? Like it's so visual. Like my life is visual. Everything I do,
Right.
all my screw ups, all my failures, there they are.
Yeah, definitely. So the, one, I guess you can't be thick skinned and do that, but at the same time, you know, um, people like Taylor Swift, how many followers does she have on all of her social media? And 95% of them are there because they really like her and really want her to succeed and really enjoy what she does. And the other 5% are just a bunch of trolls. So, the expectations we put on ourselves are going to be way higher than the expectations that people following us are, because they're already, I don't know how you would say it. They're already locked in. They want you to succeed, so they're there to enjoy it when you do. And people are way more forgiving of failure when you're doing something you're passionate about than you expect them to be.
Well, that could be another video in itself, right there. That's like, um, yeah. So there's the principle of, I don't know if you've heard this, Brock. You might have even heard this. You only need 1,000 true fans. If you think about the entire population, the world we live in, you only need 1,000 of those people to dig what you do, and the reality of that is they don't have to dig even what you do as much as they have to like you. And once they like you, they'll accept even if you have a bad song or one of your books isn't as great as the first one, then they'll even accept that. So yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I was saying, people don't show up to concerts because they want to see somebody fail. No, maybe a few of them do, but you'd have to be insane to pay, Garth Brooks money to go to one of his shows and go, man, I hope this show is terrible because I want to get online and just hammer him all night.
That's true. Do you think people go to YouTube to see people fail? I'm just curious.
Now, certainly they do go to YouTube to see people fail.
Because I failed a lot with this show.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Well, honestly, the idea of this show was to get on here and actually fail. It was to start something that I was kind of nervous about starting and just like, whatever. It's going to fail. I'll fix the bugs as we go. There's going to be times when things don't work. I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. And but I feel like I'm supposed to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. And I kind of like the excitement of that. But I'm fully aware that any popularity brings a certain amount of haters. So I think the tough skin is something maybe to realize even in the beginning, don't you think?
Yeah, certainly early on, when you're struggling through the difficult parts, you are going to get, you're going to get haters or people that, want to bring you down, so to speak. But those are the least important people to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
In that thing I posted in there, it was like I said, if somebody starts bashing you, ask for some constructive criticism. If they don't have any, move on. They're not worth your time.
Huh.
Yeah. Even if you're terrible at what you do, a person who's going to be honest with you will be like, hey, look, yeah, this was kind of rough, but here's a thing you might want to try to improve on. And then, maybe make a judgment from there. But when it comes to your talents, don't Don't depend on the guy who's got nothing good to say about what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That.
I don't think you're going to be passionate about something that you're completely terrible at. I mean, there are people who show up on, the reality shows who try to sing whatever, and it's like, yeah, that guy should have never even got on the show. But part of that is that's why they've made the show.
Yeah.
So that's not even real in their reality.
Yeah.
And the thing about failure is people like people who are genuine.
Yeah.
If everything's always perfect, it's not real. So
Yeah.
why are you interested in that?
Yeah. Do you think more people are wanting genuine over perfection these days? Or
Definitely. And maybe I'm wrong in this, but I prefer genuine over perfection all the time.
yeah. Here's something.
Because
Here's something that I always have. It's always been like on my radar. It's like think of all the artists that you really like all of them, or think about the artists that have stuck around for years and you still hear their stuff. Like Tom Petty, he's a great example. Tom Petty is a incredible songwriter, incredible musician. Um, Probably wouldn't have passed on American Idol though. Probably wouldn't have got
oh
through on The Voice. And you will
no,
hear his songs for the rest of our lives for sure. You know what I'm?
definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's that's always been a thing with me. I'm like all that perfection and stuff. You don't hear those songs anymore. And you know, I will be. I don't want to be jaded about the music today, but there is a lot of production, a lot of performance. I do tend to like stuff that's a little more rowdy and produced. Like for instance, Dave Cobb is super popular right now for uh, Chris Stapleton and a lot of other ones. But his whole approach is imperfection. His whole approach is get the band in the studio and track everything live. Of course, the
Yeah,
musicians are stellar, and you come out with a stellar product. But there's no cutting things to be perfect. There's no because that human element is still there, and I think it translated really well. I mean, Chris Stapleton is a phenomenal artist, but the production matched his genuine, authentic spirit. I think so.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And you can hear that in his voice. That his vocals are so raw and they're
Mm.
so great.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. So, um, you mentioned I don't remember how you put it in the Facebook post, but you mentioned you were talking directly to the people who were afraid to start stuff. and
Yeah,
and I know a few of those people myself, and I have been one of
I,
those
I'm one
people.
of those
Yeah,
people.
yeah, totally. So um on my birthday, I'm getting older, so when I speaking of authentic, I just turned 50 years old. I didn't even think when I was 20 I thought 50 was grandpa. So I'm like everything that everything that I wanted to do for the last few years, I'm doing. This year I'm doing it. Like I've had the idea for this show for, a year. Wake up thinking about it. There's several other things my brother and I are doing. We have the band, Big Time Grain Company. I'm getting ready to start a new music project. And for some odd reason, I have capacity to do it all. And last year, I think I was still afraid to do any of it. So that's an interesting thing for me.
Very cool. Yeah. So yeah, that post was as much for me as it was for
Yeah.
everybody else out there.
Yeah.
Um, One of the statements I put in there is if you think you're not good enough, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the people who have succeeded and achieved the most in life, I mean, take Amazon for example. Jeff Bezos started an online bookstore out of his garage.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I need to find something that has a wide variety of things I can sell, that I don't have to have a huge inventory for, or that I can have shipped from where they're being created at to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of drop shipping. So he took that and, you know, and now is the richest man on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like an average hedge fund guy, if I remember correctly. You know, guys like Elon Musk moved to the United States with $2,000 and a suitcase full of books,
Yeah.
is what he says.
Wow.
Look at him now. He created what we now know as PayPal. I think it was like x.com or something like that before. He sold that to eBay, and now he's got, you know, he's making billions of dollars doing the SpaceX. His car company is finally profitable, you know, and the
Yeah.
guy's never been afraid to fail at anything.
Yeah.
And that,
Go ahead.
speaking of failure, the one thing I put in there too was 10 years from now, failure will feel way better than regret.
Yeah. Wow. That that should be a, I don't know, that should be a start of a curriculum or something.
Right.
Yeah. Um, so we're gonna wrap this up a little early. I
Sweet.
just, completely honest, my daughter's at school and she is getting sick, so I need to go pick her up.
Oh,
So yeah. Yeah. I can be
prayers for
honest.
your daughter.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
but this is a great topic. I would like to know before we stop, is there any suggestions you have for people that are stuck in that idea of like, I don't have confidence, or I don't believe in fake confidence, or what is something you would tell them to take the first step, to step out of the boat?
To take the first step, if there's something you're passionate about and you think you're good at it, you're probably way better than you think you are. Find a close friend who will be honest with you and say, hey, I think I'm good at this. What do you think? And they kind of have to know that that's what you're doing, and be like, hey, I want an honest, straightforward opinion about what you think about this.
Right.
And if they say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're pretty good at that, then move from there. Start gathering those people around you that know what you're capable of, and get suggestions and ideas and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, Mike. We'll have you back. You and I, we have a lot to talk about. I think we could probably even talk about more of this later. So anybody have any suggestions of things to talk about, please let us know in the comments. Or if you need help making that first step, Mike or I would be happy to help you.
Certainly.
It does take a team, and it does take mentors and people around you to say, no, what you're doing is valid and it's good, and you should do it. And the first step does not have to be perfect, and it shouldn't be perfect. So
Yeah. If it's perfect, there's nowhere to go, and that becomes really boring.
yeah. So yeah, Mike and I, we have a long ways to go. So we're happy about that.
Yes, sir.
So I think you need one of these, right? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Our studio audience here. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna leave you guys with a picture of me trying to set this thing up, and to say that, like, don't worry about being perfect, because this thing sure wasn't. Look at that. Look at that handsome man freaking out there. All right, thanks, Mike. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Yep.